Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me today because we are tackling a topic that is literally required learning for anyone stepping into the remote workspace. Today, we're laying out the blueprint for your remote work equipment. And listen, I want to set a very firm but super warm tone right from the jump. This explainer is entirely focused on getting you prepared, getting you ready, and above all else, keeping your hard-earned money right there in your wallet. We are going to build your setup the smart way, without overspending.
Before you spend $1 on equipment, I really need you to finish that sentence in your head with, I will check the requirements. The stakes here are surprisingly high. Every single day, eager, motivated people waste hundreds of dollars on the entirely wrong setup. They buy the wrong laptops, the wrong headsets, and eventually they have to start completely over from scratch. But hey, that is not going to be you. This explainer is basically your protective shield against those common, really expensive mistakes.
And helping us navigate all of this is our guide from KMI Virtual Solutions. Think of KMI as your personal instructor walking you through a smart, budget-friendly setup. Their whole philosophy is about showing you exactly what you need to know and precisely what you need to have in your home before you even take that next step in your remote work journey or fill out a registration form. We're going to look at what you actually need, what you absolutely do not need, and how to get it all done efficiently.
Okay, let's dive right into today's syllabus. We'll start with an equipment reality check, followed by core computer and internet basics. Then we'll hit audio and workspace rules, moving on to my personal favorite, the do not buy list, and we'll wrap up with your next steps and checklist.
Starting off with Section 1, the equipment reality check. Before we get bogged down in gigabytes and megabits, we really need to talk philosophy. A real working setup requires nothing fancy and honestly, nothing expensive. It just needs to work. I want to reassure you right now, a professional setup does not mean luxury tech. It doesn't mean you need some glossy, magazine cover office with wild LED lights and a $3,000 desk. It simply means having exactly the gear that meets the strict platform requirements. That's the whole shebang. Nothing more, nothing less.
Let's move to Section 2, core computer and internet basics. Think of this as the engine of your remote workspace. If it isn't built to spec, the car simply won't drive. Here is your non-negotiable checklist for the computer itself. You need a PC or a Windows-based laptop. And let me be incredibly clear here. Tablets will not work. Your smartphone will not work. You need a real computer. It should be running Windows 10 or higher, and it absolutely must have a minimum of 8 gigabytes of RAM to handle the software system smoothly. You also need a reliable processor, so, nothing ancient that takes 10 minutes just to boot up. And finally, a working camera and microphone, just in case your specific client program requires it. Please, do not guess on these specs.
But here's the thing, an amazing computer is nothing without the pipeline connecting it to the world. Your internet connection is just as important as your computer hardware. You need, at a bare minimum, 10 megabits per second for your download speed and 3 megabits per second for your upload speed. You also need low latency, meaning there's no major lag, and the connection has to be rock-solid stable. If you don't know your speeds, go online and run a free speed test right after this explainer. It takes maybe 30 seconds and it is absolutely vital information.
Now here's where we draw a hard line. Wi-Fi. Wired Ethernet is strictly required. That means you need a physical cable plugged directly from your computer into your router. Wi-Fi is usually not acceptable. I know, we live in a wireless world, but for reliable client work, Wi-Fi is simply way too unstable. A microwave turning on in the kitchen or a neighbor suddenly streaming a movie can totally drop your client call. Get an Ethernet cable. It's an absolute must.
Section 3, Audio and Workspace Rules.
One of the most common mistakes people make is with their audio. A USB headset is non-negotiable. It must plug directly into your computer's USB port. Bluetooth headsets and AirPods, they are simply not allowed. I know they look cool and I know they're super convenient, but the audio is just too unreliable for professional client calls. The battery can die, the pairing can drop, it's a mess. But the good news? A solid, approved USB headset is incredibly affordable, usually running somewhere between $20 and $40. Save your money and just stick to the cord.
Now, where are you actually sitting while wearing that headset? You need a quiet workspace. This is all about professionalism. When you're on a call representing a client, the customer on the other end shouldn't hear loud background noise. No television playing in the background, no children or pets interrupting the call. If possible, you really need to be in a room with a door you can close. KMI even suggests printing out their specific "Do Not Disturb" sign to hang on your door, so everyone in your household knows exactly when it's work time and when you cannot be interrupted.
Here's a really quick note on screens.
Dual monitors, having two screens side by side, is optional but highly recommended. Having that extra real estate makes navigating multiple client programs significantly easier. But, and this is a massive but, do not let the lack of a second monitor stop you from starting. If you only have one screen right now, that is perfectly fine. You can always add a second monitor later once you start earning. Seriously, don't let it be a roadblock.
Moving on to Section 4, the Do Not Buy list.
All right, I am putting on my protective instructor hat here to keep you from wasting your hard-earned funds. No Chromebooks, no tablets, no phones. These devices are fantastic for browsing the web or watching a movie on the couch, but they are simply not compatible with the vast majority of secure remote work platforms. If you try to do this job on an iPad or a Chromebook, the software will literally block you from even logging in.
Next up on the Do Not Buy list, no wireless headsets and no AirPods. We touched on this a minute ago, but it bears repeating because it's such a common error. Buying expensive wireless audio gear for this job is a guaranteed waste of your startup funds. They will absolutely fail the system audio checks. Stick to the basic $20 USB corded headset.
And here is the golden rule of the Do Not Buy list. No unnecessary upgrades. Check what you have first. Do not rush out to Best Buy or hop onto Amazon to buy a brand new $1,000 computer or a fancy multi-monitor setup before you even finish your training. You might already own equipment that easily meets the minimum requirements. Verify what you have in your house right now before spending a single penny.
So what should you get if you truly have nothing? Well, here is your affordable starter kit. If you need a computer, look for a reliable, refurbished Windows laptop from a reputable seller. Add that $20 to $40 USB headset. Finally, buy a $5 wired Ethernet cable to plug into your router. That is it. That is everything you actually need to successfully get started and pass the technical checks. It's approachable, it's totally doable, and it keeps your budget completely intact.
Finally, Section 5, Next Steps and Checklist.
This is where we turn all this great information into action. Here's your final reality check. Do not guess. Check first. Guessing that your Wi-Fi is probably fast enough, or guessing that your old laptop has enough of that RAM stuff is a recipe for disaster. Getting your equipment wrong will delay your training, it'll delay your registration, and ultimately it's going to delay your first paycheck. Taking 20 minutes right now to meticulously verify your setup is the most professional thing you can do today.
So, here is your playbook. Step 1. Download the official KMI equipment checklist. If you're communicating with KMI, this will be right there in your email or linked in their materials. Step 2. Go through every single item on that list physically. Look at your computer's settings, run the speed test, plug in the headset. Step 3. Move forward and officially register only when you can confidently check off every single requirement on that list. Do not rush the process. Move the right way, not the rushed way.
Which leaves me with one final, incredibly important question for you to consider. Are you ready to download that checklist and verify your setup before you spend a single dime? I certainly hope the answer is yes. You now have the exact blueprint to build a smart, budget-conscious, and fully compliant remote workspace. Don't buy a thing until you check your list. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Go get that workspace ready, and I will see you next time.